It was a cold, rainy night in Southside Chicago. Jamal Carter, 34, single dad to his 8-year-old daughter Mia, was barely scraping by. He worked 2 jobs, lived in a tiny basement apartment, and every night prayed the lights would stay on another month. His wife Asha had passed 2 years earlier from cancer, leaving a hole in his heart that never closed. Mia was all he had left, and he swore he'd never let her down. Around 1:47 a.m., he heard it. Tires screeching, metal crunching, then silence. He peeked through the blinds. A black SUV had slammed into a pole 2 blocks away. Smoke rose. Then he saw her, a woman in a torn blazer stumbling from the wreck, clutching her side, blood soaking her shirt. She looked back, panicked, like someone was coming for her. Jamal should have stayed inside. He had a daughter upstairs, bills, fear, but something in her eyes, desperation, pain, pulled him out the door. He ran to her, threw her arm over his shoulder, and half carried her back to his building. She was heavy, fading fast. As he got her down the stairs to the basement, she whispered, barely audible, "They're coming. Don't let them find me." He didn't ask who. He just acted. He laid her on the old couch, grabbed towels to press against the bullet wound in her side. She was losing blood fast. Mia was asleep upstairs. Thank God. Jamal locked the basement door, turned off the lights, and sat in the dark, heart pounding, listening for footsteps. Minutes later they came. Heavy boots on the sidewalk. Voices low, angry. She couldn't have gone far. Flashlights swept across windows. Jamal held his breath. The dying woman on his couch, a complete stranger, gripped his hand weakly. Her badge, half hidden under torn fabric, caught the dim streetlight. State Attorney General, Sarah Patton. This wasn't just any cop. This was the woman who had spent years prosecuting the very gangs now hunting her, and now she was dying in his basement. Jamal had no gun, no plan. Just a terrified little girl upstairs and a choice that would either save her life or end his. End of part 1. Fade out on tension, soft rain sound, heartbeat effect.
The killers searched the block for over an hour. Jamal heard them kicking doors down the street, heard glass shatter, heard threats yelled into the night. He sat frozen, one hand on the woman's wound, the other ready to cover Mia's mouth if she woke up crying. Sarah Patton drifted in and out of consciousness. In her clearer moments, she spoke in broken whispers. They found out. I had evidence, names, dates, enough to take down the whole network. She coughed blood. They want me gone before the trial. Jamal didn't know what to say. He was just a man trying to keep the heat on. But he knew fear. He knew what it felt like to lose everything. So he stayed. He cleaned the wound as best he could with what he had. Peroxide, rags, duct tape. He gave her water from a bottle, held her hand when the pain hit hardest. Around 4 a.m., Mia woke up crying for water. Jamal panicked. He whispered to Sarah, "Stay quiet." Then he carried Mia downstairs, telling her, "Daddy's fixing something. Go back to sleep, baby." Mia saw the blood, the stranger, and froze. But she trusted her father. She curled up on the floor beside him and fell asleep again. Sarah watched the whole thing through half-closed eyes. When Mia was asleep, she looked at Jamal and said, "You don't know me, but you're risking your life for me." Jamal shrugged. "I lost my wife. I can't lose my daughter too. If they come in here, it's over for all of us." Silence. Then Sarah whispered something that made Jamal's stomach drop. "If I die tonight, tell them Sarah Patton said thank you. And tell Mia she's going to be proud of her daddy one day." Jamal shook his head. "You're not dying tonight. Not in my house." Outside, the killers were getting closer. Flashlights swept past his window again. This time, they stopped. Someone tried the door handle upstairs. Jamal's heart stopped. He looked at Sarah. She looked back, no fear in her eyes anymore, just gratitude. And in that moment, in the dark basement of a broke man's life, something unbreakable was born. End of part 2. Slow zoom on their clasped hands, distant thunder, rising emotional music.
Dawn broke gray and cold. The killers were gone. For now. Sarah was pale, barely breathing, but alive. Jamal called a friend who knew a doctor who didn't ask questions. They got her to a safe clinic just before sunrise. 3 days later, Sarah survived surgery. The evidence she carried was recovered from her wrecked car. Encrypted files that would take down one of the largest crime networks in the state. The men hunting her were arrested within the week, but Sarah didn't forget the basement. 2 weeks later, she showed up at Jamal's door, bandaged, walking with a cane, but standing tall. She looked at him and said, "I owe you my life, but more than that, I owe you my respect." She handed him an envelope. Inside, a check for $250,000. Reward money from the state for information leading to the arrests. She had listed Jamal as the tipster. Then she handed him another document, a letter of recommendation that got him a full scholarship for Mia at a private school, and job placement for Jamal at the state attorney's office, entry level, but stable with benefits. Jamal stared at the papers, tears in his eyes. He whispered, "Why?" Sarah smiled softly. "Because you reminded me what justice really looks like. It's not in courtrooms. It is in a father who chooses to protect a stranger when he has every reason to walk away." She leaned in close and whispered the words that would echo in his heart forever. "You didn't just save me that night, Jamal. You saved what's left of my faith in people." Years later, Mia graduated college. Jamal became a supervisor, bought a real house, and never worried about lights going out again. Every Christmas, he and Mia light a candle for Sarah Petton, the woman who turned one desperate night into a lifetime of second chances. And every time he tells the story, he ends the same way. Sometimes the biggest miracles don't come from power or money. They come from a single choice. To do the right thing when the world tells you to look the other way. That's the uncut truth. End of part 3. Fade out on family photo. Uplifting music swell. Text overlay. Share your truth below, plus subscribe CTA.